Now let me ask you this question. What's better than an absolutely delicious meal that you have prepared right here in your kitchen and you did it for less than $5? Now, that tells you something. Number one, you had a well-stocked pantry and you did some serious grocery shopping and you were very selective in what you needed and only got what you wanted. Now, so when you plan your menu each week, then you can be very selective about the things that you're bringing into your kitchen. And when it's time to cook that meal, you can start to say cha-ching, because the dollars are going to be in your pocket rather than someone else's. I'm going to start with a hot skillet. So I'm actually going to put this particular skillet, I'm going to start it out on high and let it come to temperature. And once it comes to temperature, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. And when that happens, we're going to start to put those vegetables in. We're going to keep the temperature semi-high to begin with. And then from there, we'll turn it down, let it simmer for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to add some pasta. Our skillet is nice and hot, so we're going to add our olive oil. I'm not sure how much I have in here. It feels pretty light. Not much, probably just enough. Okay, there we go. Got our olive oil in. That was about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You'll see that I'm going to let that get our pan nice and oiled. We're going to add in some onions. And this is going to be 1 whole onion. So I put half the onion in one container. I prepped these a couple of days in advance because I knew I'm going to need onions. I use onions all the time. So it's always nice to have vegetables already prepped. So when it's time to cook, it saves you time, and having your own onions saves you money. I've got my turtle. We're going to add a little seasoning. Oh, right here. We've got our house seasoning, which is our onion powder, garlic powder, and pepper. I'm going to start with 1 scoop using my spice spoon, which is about a teaspoon. I'm also going to start with 1 teaspoon of no salt seasoning. You know, you can always add more, but it's kind of hard when you're trying to add to take away from your pan. So let's get this stirred up. We're going to let all of this bloom. those onions all seasoned up. Now I'm using garlic powder. I do have some garlic, and I think I'll add that in as well. I store my garlic in the freezer, and I usually put it in an additional bag just to make sure that the fragrance of the garlic is not completely through my refrigerator. So we're going to add in about a little handful of garlic. You know, garlic is good for you. This is a great time to have it. I wish you could smell the fragrance coming from this pan now that we've added our garlic in. And as the garlic breaks down, I'll just take the spurtle and kind of crunch it up and mash it up so that we don't have large chunks in the end. Now, the next thing we're going to add, remember those little cherry tomatoes? We're going to put all of those in. All of those are going to be added to the pot. And I'm going to let these simmer with the onions and the garlic pot. And I'm going to let them cook down. This is going to be so good. Now, the purpose of using the little cherry tomatoes is actually the point that cherry tomatoes have a very fresh taste. And in fact, it may be that we may not need any other additional tomato flavor in there, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do have a little bit of few diced tomatoes we may add to it toward the end, but as of this moment, I think once these cherry tomatoes really start to break down, we'll be so happy with the flavor of our sauce, and we want to keep it as au naturel as possible. And when it's time to add the pasta in, which we're going to do, we're going to add the pasta in, we're going to add some olives. If you have artichokes, you can certainly add artichokes to this mixture just to add to your vegetables. And I do believe I might have some artichokes in the freezer because I'm cooking from the freezer and one of my pantries. So let's see what we've got and what we can add in. But I think what I'll do is to put a top on this and allow these tomatoes to break down. As luck would have it, I do have some artichokes. Now these have already been opened, and I'm going to actually just put them right in with those tomatoes. And they're going to cook down with the tomatoes, and we'll be able to break them apart. But our skillet is going to be hot enough so that those artichokes are going to be a part of this combination. And I think what I'll do is add just a tiny bit of liquid to the skillet to get everything going. I had just a little tomato juice, and I'm going to put that in. And if you have wine that's already opened, you could certainly add about a cup of wine to this mixture, and that would make it all the more better. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of salt because we are dealing with fresh vegetables. So I'm putting in about a teaspoon or a little less of salt. And you can see, if I bring you in a little closer, let me give you a close-up. Now you'll be able to see how bubbly our skillet is getting. I want all of that to bubble. I'm going to put the top back, see how bubbly on it, give it a little stir, put the top on it, and then we'll be ready to let this simmer until all of those tomatoes have started to break down. Now, I do see a few tomatoes that already are starting to blister, and it's just going to take a few minutes for that. See, our pot is starting to get juicy. I'm taking my spurtle and just mashing some of those tomatoes as they pop so that juice will start to incorporate into our mixture. This is one of those dishes that you can prepare. Like I said, it's very inexpensive. And so as you're shopping, things like frozen artichokes, frozen veggies, even frozen onions. If you're working, you may opt to do that if you don't have time to do all the prep work. Occasionally, it's nice to have some frozen vegetables already done in your freezer so that you can just come in, put your dish together, and have something very simple but very filling for your family. So like I said, I'm loosening those tomatoes out of their skin. Then later I'll go back and start to work on the garlic, getting it mashed as well. As I find those little cloves, some were already very small, but some of them were a little larger, so I'm breaking those apart as I go as well as the artichokes. I want them to break up so that once we add the pasta to this mixture, now see that was one large garlic clove, so we're going to break him down with the back of the spoon. So that all of this mixture will have the garlic, it will have the tomatoey, fresh tomato flavor. There's our garlic. And I'm just kind of working with this now. And then I can turn it loose and let it simmer. But you can see the sauce starting to form down in the skillet. Just helping those tomatoes along. I also have some dried parsley, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that. I dried it myself, and I'm going to add some of that in as well. As we're breaking things down in our mixture, oh my goodness, our family's going to love this. Serve it with some bread or not. You may be like me and trying to eliminate a little bread, even though I know the big guy is going to want some bread. But, you know, you can have whatever you want to go along with it. If you choose to put a protein with it, you could certainly add in some chicken. You could, if you have a rotisserie chicken somewhere lurking in your stash, you might want to add some shredded chicken. You could add seafood, however you want to make it. This is your dish. If you have some Parmesan toward the end, we will add a little bit of Parm into this, or I may just wait and add it when I prepare the plates and just put it on top. But I have just about taken care of all of the tomatoes. I love it when a fresh dish comes together. Now, I will, in a little while, give it a taste to see if I need to add. The only thing I can think of would be more salt, but we'll see if we need that. So we've got all that in. I'll add, I'm not going to put a lot of salt because I'm going to be adding olives to this, green olives or whatever olives you like. I have green that are already in my container and ready to go. So we'll add that. So we're going to let this sauce come together. Yum. It smells wonderful. Like I said, we have artichokes. We have a lot of the flavors of Italy right here. in this dish. We like all artichokes. If you don't like artichokes, then don't add those. What you like and what your family likes is what you'll put in. And if you decide to add something different or something additional, let me know what it was, because that may be something I want to do the next time. All right, let me get my spoon and we'll check this for flavor levels. Oh, that is so fresh, so fresh. But I do believe it's going to need just a little bit of salt, a little more. So I'm adding a little more salt. It's got enough pepper, enough garlic. It's got all of that. It just needed a touch more of salt. And I think I've already decided I probably won't add any additional tomatoes, because I think this package of tomatoes is going to break down and it's going to make the perfect amount. Now, if you have additional family members, the size container that I had was a large cherry size of a cherry tomato container. You can get it at Costco, you can get it at Wally World or Walmart, and or any grocery store. It's got enough pepper, enough garlic, it's got all of that. It just needed a touch more of salt. And I think I've already decided I probably won't add any additional tomatoes, because I think this package of tomatoes is going to break down and it's going to make the perfect amount. Now, if you have additional family members, the size container that I had was a large cherry size of a cherry tomato container. You can get it at Costco, you can get it at Wally World or Walmart, and or any grocery store. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to turn this down on low. I'm going to let the rest of these tomatoes cook down. I still have a few that I've missed along the way that need to break down. Oh, this is going to be absolutely delicious. Okay, now I think what I will do is to go ahead and put the olives in, so that can be incorporating. So we're going to add our olives. Because remember, this dish is not going to take long. And if your family doesn't like olives, then leave them out. But this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful dish. But those olives are going to add that touch of saltiness that we're going to be looking for. It's going to add a little extra. There we go. All right, top on, and I'll bring you back when it's time to serve it up. pasta water is on. So we're going to take as long as it takes for this to come up. We'll put the pasta in, add just a touch of salt, and once that pasta is finished, we're going to add it to our tomato, artichoke, onion mixture that we have here that we're going to have for dinner. Now let me ask you this question. What's better than an absolutely delicious meal that you have prepared right here in your kitchen and you did it for less than $5? Now that tells you something. Number one, you had a well-stocked pantry and you did some serious grocery shopping and you were very selective in what you needed and only got what you wanted. Now, so when you plan your menu each week, then you can be very selective about the things that you're bringing into your kitchen. And when it's time to cook that meal, you can start to say cha-ching, because the dollars are going to be in your pocket rather than someone else's. Here's the big guy's plate. Now let's fix ours. This is very good, very fresh, but because we added that little touch of salt, it's added just enough savoriness so that it's got a little sweet and a little savory. This is a dish you'll want to serve your family. Now, I'm going to go and join the big guy, and we're going to have dinner. So have a blessed time.